My grandfather, he was from Macedonia, and he came to America years ago. And the stories that he used to tell us were because he couldn't stand the Greeks and that they had taken over his country and tried to change so many things about the Macedonian culture and incorporate so much of their own culture into his. So one of the last things that kind of was the kicker for him that made him come to America was that they wanted everyone to change their last names because they didn't like people to have a Macedonian last name. They wanted them to have a Greek last name. I don't know how true that this story is, but this is the story he handed down to us. And our name is Lazaroff, the last name, and they wanted him to change his name to Salvarinus, and he said, not happening, and he came to America. So for years, we heard about his disdain for the Greeks. But I do feel like he still brought a lot of that culture to America with him. And we had a lot of that culture that was passed on to us, but nothing really defined. And so I found it interesting. For me, I wanted to learn about Greek traditions and culture so that I can share that all with you today. I did a little research and I found out that the customs in Greece are pretty exciting and have been carried down through the ages. That they center a lot of their traditions are centered around life events like weddings and births of children and baptisms of children and funerals. And they add these traditions just add all this fun and excitement and color to the Greek culture. So I looked at the first place I looked was there was a website called Discover Greece. And I found this article called Traditions in Greece. And in it, they talked about the fact that all these events happened around life events in Greek culture. So that was the first place I looked. But I didn't find a lot of information, so I kind of decided that I was going to keep looking. And I found a blog written by Ethel, and I'm trying not to kill her name, Dilau and Baca. And she wrote a blog on the Culture Trip website where she talked about some of the Greek traditions that have been handed down through the ages, and they were kind of cool and interesting. The first one was the tradition or the superstition of the evil eye. The evil eye, the Greeks believed that people would curse you. They try to put a curse on you. So to protect yourself from this curse that you might get, you should wear this charm, and this charm would protect you from the evil eye. And the charm was made out of like blue glass, and it had an eyeball painted on it. So if you ever see those, because they are around, I have seen them myself. If you wear this charm, the Greeks believe it'll ward off any evil spirits or bad luck or curses that you may have on you. The next thing she kind of talked about was something that goes, a superstition that goes hand in hand with the evil eye, which is spitting. So the Greeks felt like if someone told you a bad news or a story of some tragedy and you heard it, they would spit. And the reason they'd spit is that I guess they felt that it would ward off any kind of evil or having bad luck from hearing that story. So they kind of go hand in hand, and they're very notorious within the Greek culture, those superstitions. And the last one that I thought was pretty interesting was the tradition of plate smashing. This is probably the most popular one. Most of us have seen it in movies or on TV. And it basically just says people smash plates in times of celebration. So they did it a lot at weddings. And nowadays they kind of have gone away from that, and they throw flowers more than anything else. Another thing that is very important to people in the Greek culture is the Greek Easter. That's their biggest holiday. And so within that holiday, they have a lot of celebrations that go along with it. And I found that there was a website that I looked at, and Iralda Goga had written an article called 10 Greek Traditions That Will Make You Feel More Greek. And basically, these traditions are to talk about all the things leading up to Greek Easter. So there's the Epiphany, which is celebrated on January 6th. Basically, It's a celebration of Jesus being baptized by John the Baptist in the Jordan River. And what they do is a priest will go and people will gather around a body of water. And he has a cross that he's blessed, and he throws the cross into the water. And then everyone will jump in trying to find the cross. And whoever finds it, they will have good luck for the rest of the year. Next, there is the biggest event, which is Apokris, the Greek carnival. And the Greek carnival kicks off, and it starts 3 weeks before Lent starts. And there's a lot of festivities. People get dressed up. There's a lot of food, dancing, music, street parades, things like that everybody goes and celebrates for the 3 weeks prior to Lent. And then lastly, the Kathara Deftera, which translates to Clean Monday. That signals the end of Greek carnival and the beginning of Lent. And Lent lasts for 40 days of no meat eating. Everyone gives up meat for 40 days prior to Greek Easter. And at that, they have they only eat seafood that day, and they make a special flatbread, and it's called lakava. Lastly, now your Greek Easter. Greek Easter is their most important holiday. They celebrate. It's very reverent. They, on the Saturday before, on that Holy Saturday, they all go to church. The church has no lights on in the church, and it's supposed to symbolize Jesus' tomb. And then they bring in the eternal flame on a candle that they brought special from Jerusalem, and they light a candle within the church. And then everyone can light their candles, and they celebrate Jesus' he's passing away. And then on Greek Easter, that morning, everyone goes to church, and they have a great lunch together and celebrate and have lots of food, and it goes throughout the day usually. So what I found is, in conclusion, Greek traditions are interesting and fun, and they have superstitions like the evil eye and spitting to celebrations leading up to and including Greek Easter. I've truly enjoyed learning about Greek culture and tradition, and I'm also glad I was able to share these traditions with you. I think that my grandfather left Macedonia with a bad taste in his mouth, but he might be surprised at how much influence the Greeks really had on him. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.